This episode of the Inside BJJ podcast is brought to you by M Kimonos. For an outstanding Brazilian jiu-jitsu gi, you need an M Kimono. Go to www.mkimonos.com.
3, 2, 1.
And welcome to the Inside BJJ podcast. I am Tim. That's Ernest and Matt. What's up, fellas?
What up, yo?
What's up, dude?
You know, I just want to say I really like having Ernest and Matt kind of back in the routine and the regular rotation. The chemistry's getting really good.
Yeah, I can feel it.
Ernest came back from fat camp. A completely different person.
Here we go.
Here go this motherfucker.
Here we go again.
This motherfucker.
It was just when it was going good. Really?
Ernest just turned black again.
As soon as the podcast. All right.
He went into black Ernest.
Okay. Let's just move along.
Transform.
We got a great guest for the show tonight. Hollywood actor and Hollywood BJJ black belt Sean Patrick Flanery is on the show tonight. Really excited. I love it when you do that. Who?
Who's that?
Who's that?
Sean Patrick Flanery, and then we also have the Atama BJJ icon on the forums, the one and only Check Your Oil. We'll be talking to him in the third segment of the show.
That's some rough stuff, checking oil, man.
Yeah, hey, Amazon's thanks, iTunes, great. No more T-shirts, but they're on the way. Also,
they're still on the way. You haven't gotten them yet.
Jeez, wow, you're actually paying attention. Also, hey, Black Belts for Autism Awareness is still coming up January 20th, 2013 in Martinsville, Indiana. If you want more information, send an email to Tim Sled at small-axebjj@gmail.com. That is not a Hispanic axe. It's a regular axe. So it's small axebjj@gmail.com.
Same thing, Holmes.
Same thing. Speaking of that, there's a phenomenon in Stockton that happens about every 3 weeks. And
someone gets murdered.
Yeah, that happens more. What it is I call it the homicide car
Just
wash.
Mexicans, man. Don't worry yourself.
It's the homicide car wash, and this is the car wash that.
What a great idea!
This is the car wash that takes place like. Whoa, I'm picking up some feedback. Hey, can you get your phone away? What is that?
It's not me. It's your.
Hold on.
Your inability to podcast.
You're going soft, man. You're not dedicated like you used to be.
I don't know what that was.
Could it be that?
Why'd you say it was up on my wire?
We apologize that Tim's a fuck up. Doesn't know.
That's not my wire. That's your wire.
You would think after all this time, Mr. Freeman would have his shit.
But no.
He would have his shite together.
Every time I touch
Oh. That
what? I
cord.
just want to put my arm on this.
Putting your arm on it, you dumb son of a bitch.
This guy, this guy the whole time he's putting his arm on this thing
every time,
causing it, and I'm trying to figure out what it is. And Jack Ball over here is putting his arm on it, causing it to get static. And I'm like unplugging things, and then finally he's all, I notice every time I put my arm on
that would
this.
be fucked up. If you let him take that whole damn thing apart, dude, and be like, dude,
Every episode.
You're such a stupid jerk, man. Thanks, bro. Okay, so I was gonna cut that out, but I'm just gonna leave it in. So this homicide car wash thing is this phenomenon that's like somebody gets killed, and then 2 weeks later they have the car wash to raise money.
It's for the families.
And it's always on Harding Way, right? It just seems like it's always on Harding.
They're not just on Harding,
but mostly on Harding.
Mostly on Harding. You know why?
Between West and Wilson.
I'll tell you why Harding Way.
Why?
Because Harding Way is pretty much the divider between South Stockton, according to the gangs.
Oh, yeah, I see.
Harding Way is north as a South Sider can go, right? And the further south you go, the less likely people are to give you money for that type of thing.
Oh, I see.
Right. So
they're right
Harding
on the
is it.
border.
It's like yeah, they're on the border, and
That's like
and it's high traffic.
Yeah. So it's like every week, and the thing that
They start killing people just so they could have car washes.
You have the rival gangs rob the car wash.
And you kill your own gang members because you're a bad leader and you want to keep raising the car wash money.
because you just
Turns into big money. You start
That's how-
bumping all your guys off.
Hey, that's how gangster. You can be really, really gangster. You talking about gang rep? I'm so gangster. I'm gonna kill your ass, and then when they have your car wash, I'm gonna rob that car wash and kill whoever had the money, and I'm gonna keep that pattern.
this is
And
one
then
of
when
the
you do
things.
throw another car wash.
Yeah.
This is one of the things I noticed is they try to get the prettier girls closer to the
Yeah,
car wash
yeah.
thing, and then the bigger mamas they put them way out. Like, where should I
'Cause of-
stand? Oh, go 9 blocks
You're
down.
washing cars. That's where you're going. You go wash cars.
And then the other thing, my wife made this observation today. I mean, because they are like violently aggressive. They're like screaming,
Yeah, they're getting pretty aggressive now.
screaming at the top of their lungs.
You got
car
to, though.
wash, get your car wash. It's like that's the last thing that I want to do when I see them screaming. They cross the street. They're holding up signs of the deceased person. Car wash, and it's like
And it's always their homie.
The
with
only
their-
time I ever stopped at a random car wash like that was because all the girls were in bikinis. And that was the only time I ever did it. So I think that's the trick.
It's that, and then the thing. My wife made the observation. She said, if the people would just like put as much energy that they put into screaming and yelling for you to get your car washed, if they would just like go look for a job or go to school,
They
like,
could give their own money.
learn how to read and write.
Hey, here's an idea. Instead of having your stupid little car wash, why don't you go get a job and then give money to the family yourself?
Then
Yeah.
they wouldn't have time for gangbanging, Matthew.
car wash. I mean,
Jeez
dude,
Louise.
it's aggressive. I mean, it's aggressive and it's off-putting. Like
Yeah.
when I see it, I'm just like, "What are you doing?" It's annoying. Car wash, and then they look at you. If you just drive by, they shake their head at you like, "Oh, there goes Whitey.
There goes
You know.
1%.
There goes the 1%er in his Prius."
I understand. I've never really seen like the Caucasians in Stockton act so aggressively.
No, they're not Caucasians.
Oh, what?
Yeah, no.
What?
They're Hispanics. The
Jeez,
homicide
that's
car
extremely
wash.
racist,
Listen,
dude.
That's
I'm
racist.
just gonna say this, and I'm not racist.
He's going to say that he doesn't like Mexicans.
I discriminate against all races equally. The Hispanics have a corner on the homicide car wash market.
They
okay?
do.
I never see the whites doing it. I don't know why.
It's not as lucrative as the Vietnamese in their
The
nail
blacks
salons.
can't do it because
But-
nobody would go to the car wash.
I can't believe you just.
That was not inside BJJ, Ernest. I would never cross that line.
I'm just saying.
You're
No,
alone.
I
on
would
that
go.
one.
I take that back. I only go to black car washes.
You backpedaling.
I'm just saying.
I've always liked black people.
Oh no, he's like, okay, but
I'm
then,
wearing a black hat right now.
oh, but this is what the white guys do. The firefighters stand out on a nice street
it's true.
with their hat and their boot and their, and it's like over. There's so much
Oh,
money.
dude, the firefighters
It's
are aggressive
overflowing
too,
with
though.
money. I know, but it's overflowing with money. Everybody's like, "Oh, take my money, take my money, give the money
Those
to Whitey."
firefighters
and
are
it's always
assholes.
the moms and shit, and like
Yeah.
they're not satisfied with their fat husband. They like the
See
fa-
where Ernest
they
is
want
going with
they
it?
want the fat firemen because it's like they're not all like super fit. Let's go, come on.
Yeah, I know. Firemen's and cops.
Yeah,
So anyway,
that's
I saw
the-
that today and I was super annoyed with it. I'm
Yeah,
like,
that's the running joke you tell. Hey, keep this up, man. Your mama gonna be having a car wash for you in a couple of weeks.
Anytime you stand on the street asking for money, it's annoying, right? Like if it's a car wash,
if you're screaming and yelling,
donations
and holding
to
up
the-
a picture of a dead guy,
or,
it's just like,
holding up a boot, demanding people give you money.
Listen, let's just put it in perspective like this. Look, you're in a gang. All right. Why are you in a gang? You're probably making money by robbing houses, selling bootleg DVDs, or drugs, right? Okay. I always hear them bragging about how much money they can make in a week. All right. Well, since he was with 5 of you in that same vehicle, why not 5 of you chip in 30% of what you made this week or the week that he was
no, Lord.
instead of us
I don't-
having to, on top of planning a funeral, try to scrape money from a freaking car wash. Really? How much you make?
How
in
much
a car
do they
wash?
get from a car wash?
It's not. Come on, how much money can you really make?
And you know what? You know they're not washing any real cars. It's like, hey, get Uncle Joey's car, start washing it, make it look like we have customers, and they just keep rewashing the same.
And on top
I
of
did that
that,
for a
it's
church,
not-
dude. I used to go to church. It was a
Now churches do car washes from time to time.
yeah, but what do you really make? tell you what.
Pastor rolls up. He's like, "Oh, I finna take my 70%."
It was an all black church that I went to. Right, I was like one of like maybe like 5 people that
I
were
thought
not
you were
black.
black.
Right? quarter black. You know,
Quarterback black.
But yeah, like I remember like doing this like this racist ass old white guy. He had to been like 70. He pulled up his car back when there was a Shell on what is it?
Whatever.
Pacific.
Yeah.
By Target. He pulled up right there, and he was like serious, like in detail, like he wanted so much done. It took so long to do. It was like, dude, we detailed the crap out of his car.
That's the guy who he hits up a car wash every time he sees it because he figures this is my chance to get like a $70 detail job for $8.
It was a donation, right? So he
Yeah.
was like, well, how much did you guys, whatever you feel in your heart, sir. Like, and he's like, it's just donation, just whatever. Like, all right. So he at the end, dude, and we were done. Dude, that was the best detailed job.
What did he give you?
$1. Dude. And I was like, and I saw that and I was pissed, but I wanted to see how this like guy who was like the pastor's like
Right,
right hand
he did.
man. He's like, all
grabbed
right,
him.
sir, have a good day, sir. And took off. God bless you. As soon as he left, he's like, you gonna dollar giving motherfucker. Like, oh, dude, he almost lost it, dude. He was pretty close to losing it, dude.
Cool story, bro.
Yeah.
So another thing I want to talk about, I just write down a list of things I want to talk about, is Ernest has been helping me with the kids class, and it's been a lot of fun. And I wish we had some cameras to follow us around.
I don't know. It could be a bad thing.
It's
too.
like the podcast lives everywhere now. Like everything is for the podcast. At the kids class, we're talking about jokes and saying little things. Francisco texted me, said he's coming back on the 19th.
Who?
Well, I have 2 words
Who's
for
that?
Francisco. Not welcome.
Nice. Well,
He did the gay thing and got himself a dog. 'Cause
oh yeah, I know.
he's
He
got
said he
himself
needed a
a
companion.
dog companion, dude. Oh, you know what that means. I went to the pound on the way home, stopped at the supermarket, got me a jar of mayonnaise and some peanut butter. Poor Francisco, this is what it's come to.
Dude, that's disgusting what you just did.
What's wrong, dude?
You're disgusking. You're
This is
sick.
okay. Wait, I just want to
I don't
apologize.
want no part of this. From this point on, I'm declaring that.
This is
This
what I
crossing
don't
the line.
understand. This is what I don't understand.
I draw the line at bestiality.
Oh, that's where you draw. That's your line.
Wait,
huh?
hold on. This is what I don't understand. So many
Oh my
people
God, dude.
write in and they go, "Oh, we really like Ernest. Ernest is so great. He's so funny." And this is like 80% of what he talks about.
Dude, because
Dude,
it's universally funny, dude.
Let's move on. There's a controversy brewing between Lloyd Irvin and Romero Jacare Cavalcanti. The controversy is that Lloyd Irvin is saying that, basically saying that IBJJF refs kind of have a good old boy network. Nothing we haven't heard haven't heard before.
They don't look like good old boys. They look like Brazilians to me.
You know what I mean? And they have like Alvaro Mansour is the boss hog of Brazilians.
Oh, that's good.
So-
Oh my God! Somebody,
Roscoe.
please, a listener that's good with Photoshop, please make an Alvaro Mansour boss hog.
Oh, yes.
Meme.
Yes.
El jefe puerco. El jefe de puerco. That's not a regulation, Guy. So anyway,
Who would be his Roscoe?
I don't know. He doesn't need a
Dude, what's
Roscoe.
his bill? Is he a black
Roscoe
belt or something?
Probably.
Coltrane.
He probably is.
He's probably not.
We're just messing around with him anyway. The other so
Not me.
Cavalcanti basically said, like, no, I don't believe this is true. Basically, like, there's bad calls are made.
That's
here and
like
there,
a
but
white
it's
guy
not
saying,
true.
"I don't believe that racism exists in America anymore." Like, all right, well, that's coming from a white guy.
So I wanted to read this email that we got. This is from Nick, and he said, first off, just wanted to say love the show. Okay, so I've been thinking about this for a while and get mixed answers every time. I ask, what should a blue belt focus on? Some say escapes, others say it's the period where you collect all your technique. So I'm hoping you guys might be able to clear it up and maybe give me a little more direction so I can get to the next level.
Work on your strengths. Don't worry about your technique.
Just work on muscle, like hit the gym, thighs. Okay, you should do a 2-day split.
Should totally work on your quads.
2-day split, chest and back, and then quads and calves, and then forearms and neck. And then,
Those aren't even related muscle groups. Forearms and neck.
And then you should do your facial muscles. To make sure
Facials and kegels on the same day, man.
Yeah. I don't know, dude. You know what I think? Honestly, man, I think people obsess too much about what they should focus on.
Yeah, I was going to say that. As a blue belt, what you should be working on is...
You pretty much think blue belts are garbage, right?
No.
What was that you said about blue belts before the show started?
White belts are garbage. Blue belts are garbage. And purple belts, you're almost not garbage.
Yeah.
You're not garbage. You're recycled. You're like refuse.
They should work on... Blue belts should work on getting over the fact that they're just a step above a white belt.
Yeah.
And they should not start getting super creative with their technique and getting involved in a bunch of fancy techniques. Stick to the basics. I had a guy I had a guy worrying about passing and submitting and stuff. I'm like, you don't even know how to stand up and guard right.
Who is that?
Huh? You don't have a break fall. He knows who it is. I'm not gonna out him, dude. But he was talking about some cool technique, and it sounded cool. But he saw online. I'm like, that's cool. There's a time for when you can start picking up stuff online. But
Yeah.
right now, like, let's worry about standing up and guard and break fall. You know what I mean? Like, this guy's not a blue belt, but we've had blue belts that don't even know how to shrimp properly, but they know how to do a freaking rubber guard.
Berimbolo.
Yeah. I'm like,
No,
just relax,
yeah,
dude.
I mean,
just keep learning, dude. It's a long road. Why are you freaking stressing on it?
I think there's pieces of your game that you kind of will stick with you for a long periods of time, but you don't really know what those are till you've been doing it for a long period of time. So instead of trying to figure out like, oh, this is going to be my game, it's just like let your game come to you instead of you trying to figure it out.
Right.
Just let it. It'll make itself present. You know.
It will come to you.
I think the biggest thing for a blue belt is when they get into a groove, and then that groove becomes a rut. But what happens is that groove gets carved because they're doing this 1 or 2 or maybe even 3 techniques, and they're learning how to do those techniques so well unintentionally. Sometimes they just I automatically just do this all the time. Just because you do it well doesn't mean you shouldn't drill it. If you do it well naturally, it comes to you natural, then drill it. Make it even more perfect and keep doing it. And then they'll start figuring out different combinations, different orders, and they always find themselves in that position, always. And then they'll get the jealous-ass purple belt or a high-level blue belt or even the white belts. Man, that's all you do, man. Why don't you do something different? Nah, forget all that.
Were you going to say freak that?
No. I was gonna say fuck, actually, Tim. But you see what you did?
You know what? Can we just do this from now on?
You see what you did?
You know when you watch like the movie Colors and it's on TV?
Jive all that.
Yeah, can we just do that? Like, man, stuff you. You're a mother faxer. Like, can we just do that?
We'll do that.
Okay.
So anyways,
so let's do it again. Were you just gonna say freak right there?
I was gonna say freak all that.
Okay. I like how you did the timing.
You like the change?
Freak all that.
Yeah, do it in a slightly different voice. Stick with that technique because like look at all these high level black belts that have been doing it forever. They're known for like their 1 or 2 things. They're specialized in something, and that technique that you're doing that people are complaining you do all the time and you need to change up, that may become your specialty. A lot of people give that up in the name of changing their game, or I'll never get to purple belt if I don't just start, doing something other than arm locks from guard. Like, no, dude. Like, there's a lot of people that aren't good at arm locking from guard that are black belts now. Like just
who?
Stick with it.
Like who?
Like me?
Oh, you're a black belt. Oh!
No, I mean, like me. I'm not a black belt. But I've been doing it pretty long, and I don't regularly get people from my guard arm locks.
The narcissist. I just exposed
Jesus
him.
Christ.
Just exposed him. That was good, huh, Matt? You see how I play?
Did you learn that?
Not even paying attention.
You learned that in Jew school?
Ooh. And what are you?
Dirty beaner.
Dirty beaner.
I'm dirty beaner.
I'm a deaner.
Diener.
I'm a dubba deaner.
So yeah,
had some of them dubba deaners came in here the other day. Some of them dubba deaners, they came in right from the fields, man. I could smell they had them burritos and tacos on them. So you don't come sit in my restaurant with your dubba deaners. Stupid double diner.
Jesus. So, anyways, this guy, just stick to your training, man. Just don't overthink it.
Wow, you said all that just to say that.
Just keep training, man. Seriously, like these guys get, like you said, Tim, it gets in their head and they get frustrated, and then that groove becomes a rut, and then they just like, oh, I need to take some time off, and then there you go. I'm thinking about coming back to training, man. You know how many blue belts I know that got promoted before me or even at the same time that are not training at all.
A lot, right?
At all.
Right? I know some myself. I wanted to say thanks to Edwin Frias for the shirts he sent us. And we'll take a picture of those. We're rocking them right now. He
Muchos
sent
gracias, señor.
Ernest a brown one. He sent me mine's is his purples and Matt's is his blues.
I've always been a big fan of Free Love.
Free Love, yeah. So you could follow him at Twitter. It's at Free Love Creations, and free is spelled F-R-I. So it's F-R-I-L-O-V-E.
Fry Love.
Fry Love. Frylock.
Free Love.
Fry would be F-R-Y, technically, but okay.
Like Friday is an abbreviation.
Oh,
You're not very smart for a Jew, man.
All right, this show's over. I just end it right here. This is the very last.
No,
you know
he's
what?
not.
That's fine. You know what? We're done. We're done. I just close it off. That's the last podcast ever like that one. It ends on that note.
That right there is going to piss a lot of people off when they have to like stop the podcast in the middle. And they're like, where was I? And then they're going to find that. Fuck.
Hey, down there. Hey, also, if you're in the Sacramento area or the Central Valley, our buddy Jeff Correa has a seminar up in Rockland on November 17th, next weekend.
17th?
Yeah. And you can check him out at gracierockland.com and tell him you heard about it on Inside BJJ. There's no discounts or anything, but tell him anyway.
No, it's a good seminar. He's being specific with this one, right? He's doing open guard stuff.
Oh, is he? Oh, nice.
Yeah, so Crosley will be there teaching.
Yeah, Crosley's doing
open
the
guard
seminar, yeah.
passes and stuff. It's going to be pretty cool. He always brings some. Actually, he just came back from Brazil, so who knows?
Crosley did, yeah.
Yeah, so
who knows?
Who knows what kind of Brazilian wizardry he's bringing from
chicanery
closer to the source.
Yeah, so if you get a chance to check that out, that'd be awesome. It's in Rockland, and I think it's for a couple hours, and Jeff is a cool guy.
Yeah, it's a pretty cool area.
Yep. GracieRockland.com. What else? Anything else before we give?
Oh, I wanted to send a shout out to Colorado for legalizing marijuana.
A shout out to the whole state.
The whole state.
The entire
state. Who else did it? Washington?
Yeah, Washington too, yeah.
Why didn't Oregon get in on that? You would think.
The movement is slowly moving.
And welcome back to the Inside BJJ podcast. We're joined tonight with our featured guest, Sean Patrick Flanery. Sean, thank you for taking the time out to call us tonight. We really appreciate it.
No, of course, anytime. Thanks for having me, guys.
Excellent. Hey, I was really interested in talking to you because most of the guys we talk to, they're just jiu-jitsu guys. Like, jiu-jitsu is just their life. They're like, everything they do is jiu-jitsu, jiu-jitsu, jiu-jitsu. They don't do anything outside of jiu-jitsu. So it's pretty cool for us to have someone on who is not just a black belt in jiu-jitsu, but he's also an actor. You've appeared in a lot of different tons of movies and TV stuff, man. I actually didn't realize how much stuff you've been in for such a long period of time. So it's pretty cool to talk to you, man. We really were excited to get you on.
Well, I appreciate it, man. I'm very flattered. I've been lucky in that business to not have to get a real job for 25 years. That allowed me to take a lot of time to spend playing around with martial arts. So I thank my lucky stars for that. It's been a good job.
That's awesome. Hey, I wanted to just kind of jump into it here. And one of the things that I had read about you, which it kind of made me laugh, only because most of the guys we talk to and we ask them, tell us how you got started in jiu-jitsu. Most of the guys, they say, I saw Royce Gracie in UFC 1, and I thought, how is this little Brazilian guy beating all these other guys? Or they say, I saw Gracie's in action or whatever. But I have read that actually what got you interested in martial arts was actually seeing Elvis Presley do martial arts. And so I kind of thought that was unique.
Yeah.
And not very many people willing to admit that, right? I was inspired by Elvis.
Hey, he was a black belt.
I know, so many people are like, I was in love with Bruce Lee movies and I saw Horace Gracie and et cetera. And, of course those things are true as well. But really what made me, talk to my dad, I was 9 years old and I saw, footage of Elvis on the stage in Vegas, and he had this big collared jumpsuit kind of gi thing on and a belt, and he was seeing Suspicious Minds, and he was throwing these front kicks, and I was like, Dad, this doesn't know karate. And my dad was pretty plugged in, and he's like, I think he's doing some Kempo karate out there with Professor Ed Parker. So, the next day we were at a strip mall, literally like the Foot Fist Way strip mall.
Oh,
and
nice.
I can't make this story up. I mean, I'd love to tell you that I started with some lethal style, but no. I started, when I was 9 years old in the strip mall, and my sensei, he had a big old belly, wore glasses. I think he'd have a heart attack if he climbed up 5 flights of stairs, but I got into it at 9 because of Elvis Presley. I thought, Elvis Presley, if he does this, I got to do this. Elvis gets so many chicks. There's got to be some magic in this karate stuff. And it just took off from there. I never stopped. I was just completely addicted to martial arts.
Did you get your black belt in Kempo as a kid, or how did that work out?
No, you know what? It was never Kempo. Literally, my dad signed me up for. I mean, back then, martial arts were martial arts. For example, if you had a black belt, nobody even cared what it was in. It was just a known fact that you could beat up basically the entire Marine Corps if you were a black belt.
Oh, right.
You know what I mean? It was, and my dad signed me up, and it was a hybrid of TK Taekwondo and something else. And literally, it was one of those, styles that a guy kind of makes up and adds his little foray into it. It was, I would have been far luckier if it had been real Kempo karate, but it wasn't. It was, it was just literally in the strip mall. And I wish I'm sure I have a patch somewhere, of this little dojo, but it's hysterical. And then I went on from there and trained, a little bit of everything. And then, until ultimately, I found Brazilian jiu-jitsu, and that then everything changed. I mean, I still train Muay Thai with, at HBJJ, our instructor, he, world champion Taekwondo guy and Muay Thai guy, Brent Foster, super, super good guy. So I still, throw around with him a little bit, but, for the most part, I really haven't lifted a leg since I found jiu-jitsu.
Lifted a leg, I like that. What makes me laugh about like the guys that combine their own styles is it's always like, they learned 6 different styles and none of them were good enough on their own. He's had to. I've taken the best out of every single element, and then
what
I've done
is trimmed out the fat and all the stuff that doesn't work.
Yeah,
What you got is raw beef here.
Exactly, and it's now a street lethal style. Don't worry, your son will be safe as houses with my proven hybrid self-defense system. It's like, wait a minute, you're 5'6", you're 290 pounds, you wear bifocals, you look like you'd get winded if you went up half a flight of stairs. It's hysterical, but that's truly like my instructor at my first dojo.
Those guys were successful for a long time in martial arts.
They still are. They still got money.
So, one of the things I wanted to ask you about is you were very fortunate in that you got to train for a few years under Rickson Gracie, and Rickson is, like this mystical figure in jiu-jitsu that most people would, give quite a bit. They'd sacrifice quite a bit to have the opportunity to train with him. Can you just kind of talk about what it was like in those days?
Yeah, it was kind of, it was kind of the Wild West. It really was. I mean, there was actually, I actually had a little challenge match once that blows my mind to this day. Back, the fact that this guy came in and I was doing a private with Mario Aiello, and this guy came in and he said he was in the military and he did some training, some combative training, and he wanted to test it out. And literally, Mario came back in and he goes, "Sean, put the gi." I was like, "I'm sorry." He's like, "Sean, put the gi. You gotta fight." I was like, "Man, I got a job to go to, brother." It was just kind of crazy. But those days back there with Rickson were great. I mean, I have memories of sitting on the mat with him after class for an hour, just chatting, about life, about love, about martial arts, about fighting, about growing up, all of those things. You know, it's just he's one of those magnetic, charismatic, wonderful individuals, and that's not even getting into training with him. You know, unfortunately, back then I wasn't good enough to tell the difference between him and another very dear friend of mine is Shane Rice. But back at the time, Shane, who's now a Hickson black belt, he was only a purple belt at the time. And I've always been about 10 pounds on Shane. So Shane was only a purple belt and 10 pounds lighter than me. And literally, I couldn't tell the difference between Shane and Hickson. They both just so disturbingly crushed me that, unfortunately, I mean, I'd love to be good enough to actually tell the difference between, when you roll with Hickson, because, it's a wonderful experience. You know, I've spoken to many people. I was there after Fabio Leopoldo had just won the Mundials, and he came into the academy, and I remember sitting on the wall after they rolled, and Fabio came back, sat against the wall, and he was talking to me and Henry Akins, and he was dumbfounded. I really thought, you could see it in his eyes. He just didn't understand what had just happened. He's like, I just won the world. How does this happen? And watching him roll, it's just, Hickson's kind of playing around. It's a wonderful, stylistically, philosophically, and conceptually. His game is really the one that I model my game after, because it's slow, it's methodical, it's heavy pressure, it's ugly. There's nothing flashy about it.
It's brutal.
But it's brutal, but you're never comfortable in any position at all. It's heavy pressure everywhere. If you're on the bottom, you're going to pay the price for being on the bottom. There's none of this, side control where the knees are right at the hips and right at the arm. No, he's driving straight into you. And literally, when you're in a side control, you've got about 45 seconds to get out, or you're going to tap just from the pressure. The same thing with mount. It's just, it's a crazy, crazy game. And I can honestly say that, in my opinion, and my perception and my experience, having traveled the globe for work and doing films and whatnot, I've trained with pretty much, 80% of the really top guys out there, and been annihilated by them as well. But the closest living style to Rickson Gracie is still a very dear friend of mine, is Henry Akins. And if you really want to know what Rickson Gracie is like, go down to Dynamics on Santa Monica Boulevard and give a roll with Henry. That guy absolutely blows my mind. I roll, on a daily basis with, Bill Cooper, Jeff Glover. We've got some, my academy, one of our purple belts, and he's been training with us for, since white belt, its inception. His name is Uday Malhotra. And as a purple belt, he just won the 2012 World's No Gi. So we've got some solid individuals. Paul Shawn won as a brown belt. And he's in there every Monday night teaching, every Tuesday night teaching our wrestling program. So we got some really, really, really good hitters. And I'll tell you, it's always just a shock to me when I look down at my waist and I see that I have the same color belt on that Henry has on. It boggles my mind. It truly does. It's that weird. There needs to be another color put in there just for my ego. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's that kind of pressure that you really don't find anymore, and that every single position is based on staying safe, not getting punched. There's no such thing as a 2-point sweep position. They don't care. They just want to stay safe. They want to positionally dominate you, and then they want to submit you. And it's it's the game that I really admire. It's the game that I've tried to model my game after. But Henry Akins, Rickson Gracie, it's real self-defense fighting Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu that I'm still to this day I'm in awe of.
Yeah, it's interesting you say that, because we've had Henry on, and I've talked to Henry a few times, and he's such a, now, when he tells stories about, when he was younger, he seems like he was maybe a little bit more rambunctious, but he's so mellow and he's so down to earth, he's so calm, and he's not the kind of guy who's going to really throw it in your face like, hey, I train with Rickson Gracie, or hey, I'm a black belt under Rickson. He just doesn't do it. He's very understated. And it's almost like he's kind of like a hidden gem down there in Santa Monica. Like more people need to know about Henry.
Well, it truly is. I mean, the East Coast has a secret, and his name is John Danaher.
Right.
As a matter of fact, I mean, he was the one that kind of beat the hell out of me with my black belt the day I got my black belt from Sean Williams. And he's an amazing instructor, and he's the secret of the East Coast. He really is. A lot of people have never heard of John Danaher, but amazing jiu-jitsu. Well, the West Coast has the same secret that, oddly enough, no one knows about. I mean, there's some huge Brazilian jiu-jitsu names in L.A., but without question, the most fundamentally proficient guy that I've ever rolled with, that to this day just annihilates me. And again, I've rolled with guys that win world championships. It's Henry Akins. He's on Santa Monica Bulldog out there, and you can go in any day, and he'll be teaching a class. There'll be 8, 9, 10 guys in there that have discovered the secret that is Henry Akins.
Yeah.
And it's just mind-boggling. I mean, he's the Rickson Gracie. He's that guy. If you want that technique, it's the only place you can find it.
Yeah, he's a real cool dude. I'd encourage listeners, if they're down in that area, man, to check him out. He's a good dude, and his jiu-jitsu is fantastic. Everybody who's trained with him and kind of been around him, they say the same thing. They're like, man, this guy is, he's a hidden secret. One of the things I want to ask you, because Rickson he's a very private person. There's not a lot of information on him in terms of like today, what he's doing. Do you keep in contact with him at all, or do you still are you just kind of focused on your school and your acting career?
Are you talking about Rickson?
Yeah.
I mean, every time he's in town, I run into him. He's at the tournaments and whatnot. He's still a very dear friend. I've been to his house plenty of times. Kim has made me these funky banana protein shakes. He's just a wonderful guy. He's a dear friend. He was my very first jiu-jitsu instructor. It's not a relationship that I'd like to exploit or anything like that. It's just,
sure.
I'm so happy to have been a part of that and to consider him a friend. And, anytime I see him, I get a hug from Rickson Gracie. It's kind of, it's hard to separate that awe that's still there as being a student and know that we're friends as well. It's literally like it's like Dan Inosanto knowing Bruce Lee. It's like, at the end of the day, Dan Inosanto got to train with him.
Yeah.
And I'm one of the handful of guys that can say, yeah, I've trained with Rickson Gracie. It's wonderful. It's something that I'll tell my kids about. It truly is. It's one of those moments in life that you'll relay to your kids and be really, really proud of it.
What would you say if you had to boil down like the time you spent training with him? What would you say is the number one thing you kind of took away from it? In a word, it would be fundamentals. And what I mean by that is one of my favorite quotes is, Bruce Lee said, he said, I'm not scared of the guy that knows 1,000 kicks. He said, I'm afraid of the guy that knows one kick but's practiced it 1,000 times. Well, that's Rickson Gracie, I mean, I'm not making things up when I tell you I could show Rickson some positions he's never seen. The only difference is he doesn't need him to completely shut down my game and crush me with a level of comprehension that I've never been crushed before. And the same thing with Henry. I could show Henry some, flying go-go plata, the chimichanga to the live lunar commando. You know what I mean? At the end of the day, he can shut that stuff down with solid fundamentals. Because these guys, I'll give you an example. The regular, the frame from side control, lead hip escape, and you get your knee in. Well, there's upper belts that still don't know how to technically do the invisible elements of that simple guard retention. And it's literally the guard retention that Henry and Rickson use, but it's indefensible when it's executed properly. These guys, even the bridge, I went to 2 seminars with Rickson back when I was a white and a blue belt, and he did 2 3-hour seminars on the bridge. And I have no ego, so I'll be glad to tell you, the first seminar I left there, I'm like, yeah, I just did a 3-hour seminar on a bridge. I know the bridge. Come on, I got the bridge. And it wasn't until I was an upper blue belt and I was competing. I was in every single tournament known to man. And he did another seminar, and he took me aside and he showed me little elements that I was doing wrong that completely made, which is now a discarded escape, like, the bump and roll from the mount. It's discarded. Nobody really uses it anymore. He showed me an element to my bridge that
man, I feel more comfortable escaping the bump and roll with anybody mounted on me, just because of his little corrections. And people tend to discard fundamentals in jiu-jitsu because they don't take the time enough to have success with them. So they'll do something like ask them on my white belts every day when we get white belts in. If you ask to raise their hand, what do you prefer more, mount or side control? If you're on the top, everybody says, well, side control. Well, here's my analogy. My analogy is this, and this comes, this is the same thing that Hickson proved to me. When you walk in the door off the street, out of a 1 to 10, your side control from the top, your ability to contain your opponent will probably be about a 5 out of a 1 to 10. Right off the street with no jiu-jitsu. Your ability to maintain the mount right off the street is about a 1.
Yeah.
But if you take two twin brothers and you both train side control maintenance and mount maintenance, at the end of the year, that mount is going to be a 9.5. That side control may have gone up to a 6. You know what I mean? It's just, but people discount it because they mount and the guy bridges and they get bucked off. So they're like, okay, screw that. I'm a side control guy. And they never take the time to get a mount that's inescapable. And not to keep harping on it, but Henry Akins, you're not getting out of this guy's mouth. It's just not going to happen. It's a game over position. And the same thing with Hickson. It's just you've never felt a mount like that because they've taken the time to truly master it. And that's where all of the Hickson's whole game is. If he gets taken down, his sole objective is to procure the closed guard and sweep or submit. It's not to play around with funky bottom half guard trickery. It's to procure the closed guard or sweep to the top. If he takes you down, his objective is not to get side control and submit. It's to slowly, methodically pass your guard and mount, because your probability of submitting from side control may be 65%, but your probability from mounting from side control is 85 to 90%. And once you're mounted, your probability of submitting is 98%. So it's all a numbers and a mount equation, but these guys don't use anything you haven't seen on your first week of jiu-jitsu, but they do it at a level of proficiency that is truly devastating.
Yeah, I think what happens is in jiu-jitsu, there's a lot of people, and it's easy to get caught up in chasing new techniques and trying to chase the latest this or the latest that because it's cool, or because, maybe you get over on one of your partners a few times because they haven't seen the latest wrinkle in this particular sweep or something, But what happens is people, like you're saying, they abandon the basic positioning, the basic approaches to jiu-jitsu. And so where it could be like 100% where they're really good at those basics, then they're more like a 70% at them, because they're kind of spreading themselves too thin, it seems like.
Yeah, and that's really true with all the fundamental elements of jiu-jitsu. It's amazing because all of the world champions now, or the majority of them, have trained with multiple professors. They've bounced around, they've been to different academies, seen different things, and there's pros and cons to that. You see a lot of things that you can implement into your game immediately that you have a certain degree of success with. But there's also a downside in that you see so much information because, look, at the end of the day, we all have a finite amount of time, and it's what you put that time on that you're going to reach a level of mastery. Well, a guy like Henry Akins has had one instructor his whole life. I mean, that guy's never been to another academy outside of when he got his black belt and started doing seminars. That guy's never learned from anybody other than Hickson. And to me, that's amazing. That's truly amazing. It's not like this guy went to Pedro Sauer's academy and then went to, Marcus Vinicius' academy. No, this guy trained solely at Hickson's. And that was back in the day where you weren't allowed to go anywhere else. So every single thing that he knows came from Hickson Gracie. And he knows a handful of techniques. He has, 5 options from every position, but he knows them so well, he doesn't require anything on top of that. And that's a game that I'm in awe of. I truly am.
Very hard to beat somebody who's so comfortable with their own game like that. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and it's like myself. It's not a cut down at all, but I know a far more array of positions than Henry does. But I don't know any of them well enough to combat what he's going to do to me. The guy seriously crushes me because, and maybe it's a product of me, spending 10 minutes on 10 positions as opposed to 100 minutes on one position.
Yeah.
But it's so there's a positive and a negative. But my game now is it's soul fundamentals. It's I teach the same class Henry does. It's because that to me that's the stuff that works. It's the style that I was first introduced to, and it's the style that I was first crushed with. And it's old school jiu-jitsu. So not only is it's not about a 2-point sweep. It's about staying safe, staying unharmed, and finishing a confrontation or a fight, or a submission in a tournament.
Right. So you trained it, with Rickson for, I guess I was reading 4 years. At what point, so walk us through your journey. Like, you got your black belt from Sean Williams in 2008, but what level did you get the different belts? Was the rest of them under Rickson, or did you get your brown from somebody else? Or
I got my blue belt from Rickson. Hoyler was actually in town, so I got my purple belt, wrapped onto me by Hoyler Gracie. So it's just kind of neat to say, Rickson wrapped my blue belt on me. Hoyler was in town when I got my purple belt. So Hoyler, I have pictures of Hoyler wrapping it around my waist, which is it's just another great thing to show my kids one day. It's
yeah.
I mean, these guys are not only amazing jiu-jitsu players, competitors, but they're martial arts icons. And then after that, my brown and my black were from Sean Williams, who I think is one of the best instructors on the globe as well. This guy has an ability to articulate positions that a lot of people have a problem, explaining the minutia and the details, So I got a lot of wonderful things from Sean Williams' game.
So how would you rate, alluding back to what I first said when we started the interview, you're somebody you have a lot of accomplishments outside of jiu-jitsu. Like, you have a whole life and a whole career established outside of jiu-jitsu, but how would you rate receiving your black belt in jiu-jitsu versus all the other things that you've done?
It's funny. It's I use this analogy a lot with the guys. It's because I truly do. I spend my time in between Hollywood Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu. We now have an affiliate in Burbank. Our first HBJJ black belt was Stephen Cardenas, and now he's got his own academy in Burbank. So I spend my time, sometimes I'm at his Burbank academy, but the majority of the time I'm either at HBJJ or I'm at Dynamics out on Santa Monica. So I split my time between there, and I'm not kidding when I say 95% of my time is spent doing jiu-jitsu and training and teaching. So, it always comes down to, students are sitting around the mat and they're asking me about, acting, and a large percentage of my students are actors because, we're right in Hollywood. So,
Right.
And I'm not kidding when I tell them, if somebody came to me and said, hey, here's a suitcase with, $50 million in it in cash. And if you gave me, I'll give you this suitcase with $50 million in cash, but in exchange, you have to give me Boondock Saints, the movie. And with that, every memory you had from that, every relationship you got from that, every friend you got from that, every piece of music that you learned, everything that you obtained from that, I'm not kidding. I'm very proud of the work that I've done, and specifically in that. And I'm proud that a lot of people like the movie. But I would take the suitcase. I really would. But if somebody said my black belt, if somebody said $50 million, but you got to take that belt off, and with it is going to be every technique, every philosophy, every ideology, every bit of athleticism, explosiveness, all the self-defense aspect, every relationship. I'd laugh in your face. I would. It's not even a consideration. It's not, and there's not a number. Everybody says, well, there's always a number for things. Well, maybe for some things, but that you could keep going up with the number, and I'd never take that trade. I just wouldn't. It's an ingrained part of my life and my soul that I'm very, very proud of. And when I got my black belt from Williams, and Danaher was wrapping it up and beating me on the back with it, it's literally one of the proudest moments of my life. It really is. It's just something I'll never forget. I truly won't.
Yeah, I think that moment, I mean, most people that start jiu-jitsu and stick with it for any length of time, at least long enough to have a respect for how long it takes to be proficient and to be acknowledged by your peers that, hey, you know, you're worthy of this black belt, which a lot of guys say they get their black belt and then they're like, okay, now I'm just starting to learn jiu-jitsu, you know, which is like a crazy concept. But, you know, once you
people don't understand that, but you know, I've been, like I said, in martial arts since I was 9, and I can honestly tell you that if you walk in off the street, if you're an athletic, fit, explosive guy naturally, if you take a Division I college football player, a defensive back, maybe he's 6 foot 200 pounds, and you have him compete against pretty much any other martial art against one of their students that's only received the first belt, well, you're gonna have a fight on your hands. You're going to have a fight on your hands in pretty much any other martial art. But Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, if that same guy walks in and goes against a blue belt, it's the same size and weight, it's not going to last long at all. It's just not. And I was on the receiving end of that. My first when Hickson came into the Palisades Academy, when he closed down Pico, and he was they were opening up the Barrington Academy, and I saw this guy putting mats down. And I saw the patch, which looked to me like Rick's and Gracie.
right.
And I said, I know it's hysterical. I should be ashamed of myself. But, I was competing actively, and I was doing triathlons at the time, so I was really fit. And I said, is that Gracie? Is that in your relationship to Hoyce? And he's like, yeah, relationship to Hoyce, I said, wow, man, you know Hoyce Gracie? Yeah, I know Hoyce, yeah. I said, wow, I've always wanted to train jiu-jitsu. And he goes, hang on a second. And he comes back and he throws me a gi. He goes, put the gi, man. You got to train. I mean,
that's a good hoist.
we went through the class, and Lemon was there. Henry was there. I believe Henry was a purple belt at the time. But Henry's little brother, Matt Akins, I'm about 175 pounds, pretty fit. And Matt's about 132, soaking wet. I'm not kidding. And he, when it came for open mat, I said, the first belt is blue, right? They're like, yeah. And I said, do you want to roll? And I asked Matt. I didn't even know the word roll back then. I said, would you like to go, during this open sparring? And he said, yeah. And Matt's still a very dear friend of mine today, but, he's the first belt in jiu-jitsu. And this guy could have urinated on me if he wanted to. This guy wrapped me in so many knots, arm locked me, choked me, ankle locked me. I mean, I took a comprehensive ass whooping. This guy, I've never been handled like that in my life. And literally, when it was over, I said, what do I need to exchange to have this power over another man? What do you need from me?
I want this power.
Well, I'm not kidding, because I was completely blown away. I literally thought to myself, okay, this is the first belt, and this guy's 135 pounds. If we stalemate, I'll have faith in this martial art. If this guy can even stay alive, I'll have faith in this martial art. Well, he crushed me, destroyed me, and I left there not only shaking my head, with a certain degree of humility, and I was in shock. I was shock and awe. And basically after that, there's two types of people. There's a type of person that says, well, in a street confrontation, I would have eye gouged and groin shot, and I would have done this and that and the other. And then there's a type of person that says, no, you know what? I got comprehensively wrecked. Where do I sign up? How do I learn this? And I was in the latter category, and I pretty much camped out there for the next, handful of years, because I've never seen anything like that in all martial arts. I've never walked in off the street and been just dominated from every conceivable position like that.
Right.
and easily. I thought I was going to have a heart attack, and he had hardly broken a sweat. I was like, wow, this martial art has the magic that we all thought martial arts had back in the 70s.
Oh, right.
I was like, ooh, that guy's a black belt. He can fight 10 guys at one time. It's like, for me, and that's going through every martial art known to, well, just about. I have a lot of martial arts. This is the only martial art, truly, I believe, where if you know it and they don't, you're virtually guaranteed a victory. And I was blown away by Matt Akins made me a believer that day, and that's when it happened. After that, I really didn't lift a leg, man. I just didn't.
Yeah, and it's like once you get an appreciation for how hard it is, how difficult it is to learn, and then how powerful it really is, it really does kind of open your eyes to how true jiu-jitsu is. And that's one thing that I really like about jiu-jitsu is there's no faking your way through jiu-jitsu. You can't you don't get to just put on the gi and put on the belt and stand on the side and be like Mr. Tough Guy, because pretty much every class you have to get on the mat and kind of prove your ability and what you know. There's no way, there's no way to put a black belt on and walk around at the mall like you're a
unless you
guy.
teach a kids class.
Well, if you teach a kids class, it's different.
Yeah, but it is true. One way or another, you're going to be found out on the mat. You're going to be found out, and that's why it's such a wonderful. It's a wonderful phenomenon at Jiu-Jitsu Academy and at Hollywood Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu and at Dynamics. It's the same thing. There's this magic that takes place inside there. I mean, we have guys that I would venture to say have robbed a liquor store before, and then we have huge CAA agents and directors and actors and attorneys, and we have it runs the gamut. We have students from every cross section of society, but inside that building, they're all equals, man. And there's a funny thing. It's like, I've had Hollywood Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu 10 years now, or actually we just had our 9th year anniversary, and nothing has ever been stolen from there. Guys come in, they change their clothes, their wallets are left in the back dressing room. Nothing's ever been stolen. It just that can't be said for any other environment where you leave your belongings unviewed. And it's these guys are rolling. There's huge attorneys showing up to load a U-Haul because one of the students that's a waiter is moving and he needed help. He puts it on his Facebook, and you get a CAA agent and then a big attorney showing up to help load a U-Haul. That kind of camaraderie and fraternity. This doesn't happen in any other sport or any other organization. It just doesn't. It's just a certain magic that to this day I'm still just blown away by.
Yeah. That is a really good point. That's something that I've thought about a lot, and we see that at our local school here in Stockton, where literally we'll have 3 cops on the mat, and then you'll have 2 thugs on the mat at the same time.
Like gang tattoos on them and everything.
Yeah, with like full-blown gang, like prison tattoos, and everybody.
Yeah.
It's like it doesn't matter what your profession is, doesn't matter what your last name is, what your bank account is, or anything like that. When you're on the mat, there's a mutual respect, and everybody goes from there. So that is it's a pretty awesome thing.
It is. It's truly awesome. On the mat, there's a certain respect. I mean, when you leave here, that Fortune 500 CEO is picking the brain of this thug because he got arm locked and he can't understand it, and so they end up going to dinner together at Paquito Mas and talking about it. When you see them sitting at a table having dinner together, you're like, wow, that's an interesting sight. But it's just it's a wonderful phenomenon that I hope we can keep at the Academy for forever. Really, it's just. It blows my mind every time I think about it.
Agreed. One of the things I wanted to ask you about is you're pretty passionate and pretty outspoken about, personal responsibility and people kind of making the choice and choosing to do the right thing, choosing to do something that's going to, make their life better versus, we kind of live in a society today where there's a lot of whining, there's a lot of complaining about why am I here? Why, It's easy to look everywhere else than it is to just take a look at yourself and hold yourself accountable. And I wanted to ask you about, what role does that play in jiu-jitsu, and how do you integrate that into your academy?
Well, it all starts with jiu-jitsu. It's I always consider it kind of reverse engineering. I mean, you can teach somebody about, your certain philosophies, or you can just teach them jiu-jitsu and they sort of figure it out on their own. Whenever you can disguise success in something that they become so addicted to and attracted to that they don't really understand that they're methodically, slowly achieving something that's absolutely wonderful. I mean, myself, I refuse to go through life looking in the mirror and admitting that I'm relying on somebody else to work twice as hard as me to provide me with life's necessities. I'm just not that guy, and I firmly believe that if somebody comes into the academy, what they achieved, and it's contagious. It goes into every other aspect of life when you realize, oh my God, I showed up here and slowly, methodically, like a turtle, it wins the race. I came up here, 5 times a week for 8-10 years, and then I got something that is truly invaluable. And that success creeps into all other aspects of their life. It just really, really does. It really does. We have parents that come in, or people that call the academy about bullying, my child's getting bullied, and I hate to be the bearer of bad news, but I don't care. You can occupy whatever you want, but bullying's not going to stop. It's just not. You can occupy the schoolyard, whatever. Bullying's not going to stop. It's going to stay there, and you can either learn to deal with it, or you can just hope. And hope is not a strategy. It's just not. It's just not a strategy unless you equip your child with the ability to go through life not fearing it. And I'll tell you that kind of confidence, when a child knows, if worse comes to worse, I hope I don't have to, but I know that I can put this guy to sleep. It changes the way that he speaks to that guy. It changes the way that he addresses his teacher. It changes the way that he shakes your hand. I mean, you're basically pre-programming him to succeed in every other aspect of life. And that's my goal at HBJJ. Our kids program is phenomenal, but I want to breed self-reliant, productive kids. I got a no soft kid policy. I mean, it's and we have a wonderful group of guys there, and it really changes the grades. It changes all aspects of them. It puts them on a different trajectory. It really does.
Yeah. I mean, we had Kurt Oceander on, and he was talking about his
slightly different approach.
Well, I mean, he was talking about his approach with the kids, but he has like a no soft kids policy as well. But I mean, he's really over the top with it. But he tells parents like, look, this is how it's going to be if your kids are in my program. This is how I'm going to deal with them. It's rather rough, for a lot of people. But the parents that say, yeah, Kurt, like, I get it. Go ahead. Those kids are doing well, and he makes sure they're doing well in school. They're doing well everywhere, not just in jiu-jitsu. And he has one particular approach. It's very aggressive, but it works.
Wooden sword technique.
Yeah, he uses a wooden sword, but hey.
Yeah, it's just, at the end of the day, I mean, what you earn in jiu-jitsu is solely yours. And I'm a firm believer that the most valuable things in anybody's life are the things that they came equipped with, our mind, our imagination, our physical body, all of that. Those are the things. If you can replace it with a check, it's ultimately not nearly as valuable. But what you learn in jiu-jitsu can't be replaced, and it can't be augmented by anybody else putting something in. It just can't. Yeah. I don't care if you've got a best friend that's willing to come to class for you. Ain't going to do anything for you. And nor am I going to equalize the playing field by having a brown belt take his belt off and combining it with another blue belt and giving them both purples. It's like, this guy came, he's a brown belt. Sorry, you're a blue belt. You didn't put in the work. And it really changes people. It really does.
Yeah. I mean, that's what I like about it, is that it's so honest. Again, that was one of the big attractions to me, is it's like, there's just no faking your way through it. It's going to be really hard and really valuable, and you just have to do it. And that's been for me one of the biggest draws of jiu-jitsu.
Yeah, but and like I said, I mean, you can disguise it in this game, this thing that we know and we're just enamored with, this thing jiu-jitsu, and it forces people to do something that they normally wouldn't do. I mean, normally their day is spent with very low value tasks like, I don't know, Xbox or PlayStation, and suddenly you get these kids, asking their mom, take me to the academy. There's an open mat tomorrow, and it's just it's something that. There's no real life application for being good at World of Warcraft. There's a wonderful real world application for being able to defend, your life perhaps in a bar or a club. Like I say, sports, baseball, basketball, those are electives. If a parent doesn't want his child to play, if a child doesn't want to play football, that's okay. It doesn't have to. But to me, self-defense is a life skill. It's like math. It's like geometry. Those are things you're going to have to employ for any degree of success in life. And so is self-defense. It just is. To me, for my kids, it's not an option. It's like, well, if you're not into it, you don't have to. Let's go and play T-ball instead. No problem's ever going to be solved at the free throw line. It's just not. And fighting self-defense, that's what happens in everything if an argument ensues. And if you don't know how to do that, you're going to be on a very different path. When somebody steps up and does something and it gives you an ultimatum, it changes your life path. You're either gonna stand your ground, but it's gonna redirect you, or I hate to say it, but you're gonna be a pussy for the rest of your life. Man. You just are. Those are defining moments, especially in a child's life. And I'm not saying it has to come to blows, but if you have that confidence to say it's not going to happen that way, brother, it changes you, puts you on a completely different trajectory.
How much would you say that jiu-jitsu has helped you being successful in your acting career?
I mean, if there's a numerical value for immensely, that would be it, you know. and I have to say, realistically, it's all of martial arts, you know. I mean, I'll be honest. Before, you know, I was very good at pretty much a lot of the martial arts that I trained, and I thought, you know, I kind of thought I was a lethal weapon. You know, lo and behold, I actually wasn't. You know, I mean, basically the reality is any good high school wrestler would have put me on my back and beat me up. You know, thankfully I never came against a good high school wrestler because I'm from Texas where we kind of fought every weekend, but nobody knew how to fight. They just swung. You know, it was a different type of bludgeoning. You know, it was blunt force trauma. But even though it was a false sense of security, I mean, that really changed my trajectory. I mean, now I know for a fact it's very efficient. I know for a fact, without question, that, you know, if somebody doesn't know the ground game, doesn't know takedown defense, etc., it's going to be a short night. You know, but it's just it really does change you. I mean, it's immeasurable. And when you talk to somebody that's never trained in it, they don't understand. I mean, it's like it'd be like some artist saying, you know, when I paint, it gives me a certain confidence. I mean, that's hieroglyphics to me. It makes no sense. I have to just go, well, okay, I guess.
You know, I wanted to ask you, the movie Powder was like, it was an amazing movie, and you really nailed an amazing role. Like you pretty much became that character. How difficult was that compared to some of the things you've accomplished in jiu-jitsu?
Well, you know, you mentioned Powder, and to me, I'm very proud of that film. You know, it's as an actor, you get very few opportunities to do scripts like that, but that's really why you get into the business. You know, you don't get into the business for. I mean, your artistic goal is not to go into a procedural where you walk in and you drop evidence and you're like, put this at State's Exhibit B and walk away. You know, I mean,
right.
It's a very different type of acting, but the opportunity to play a character like that and one that's completely removed from who you are as a person is, you know, I don't want to get too hokey and say it's an outer body experience, but that's really the moment that you get into the business for, you know. And my favorite, all of my favorite projects are usually character work. You know, if you play the lead man, you have to smile, and you know you can't change your inflection, your cadence, your posture, your carriage. It all has to be, you know, regular. So for an actor and somebody that's creative, it turns out to be a little limiting. But with a role like Powder, you know, that was a script that I really campaigned heavily for because I read it, it moved me so much that I think I'm still going to this day, you know, and luckily enough, I won the role and I got an opportunity to, you know, do my best to bring that character to life. But those are those once in a lifetime opportunities, really, you know, it's, and I'm glad it came, but to equate it to martial arts, it's like Powder is like the one movie that Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu is to all the martial arts that I've trained. It's that there's more truth in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu than every other martial art combined. And again, there's more truth in that film than there are in pretty much every other film I've done.
I find it very hard to believe that the guy that played Powder is a black belt in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu.
You know, it's funny. Most people don't know that. I mean, when they find out, I mean, I have students. It's funny. I mean, you know, somebody will take my class and I'll teach them for 3 months straight, and they'll be leaving, coming out of the locker room, like, hey man, did anybody ever tell you look like that guy from Boondock Saints? I'm not kidding. I can't make it up, man.
Do you ever go like, what?
You know, my response is always the same. I'm like, yeah, I do. I get that occasionally. Yeah, it's quite often. And then a week later they come back. They're like, dude, so and so told me it's you. You're Connor McNair, you know. And you know, we get a laugh out of it. But oddly enough, it's never happened with Powder. I will tell you a funny story from Halloween a couple of years ago. And my academy's right next to a 7-Eleven. And I just got done training. It was a no-E day, and I ran to the 7-Eleven with my Havaianas on and a T-shirt and my grappling shorts, and I was grabbing a Gatorade, and it was Halloween. And for those of you guys that don't know Santa Monica, it's Santa Monica Boulevard is Boys Town, and they have this huge Halloween parade. I mean, people everywhere. It's wall-to-wall people. So we were training at night, and I'm standing in line with my Gatorade, and I look up, and there's a guy paying for a pack of gum and some snacks, and has a bald cap on. He's painted white. He has a fedora, the powder fedora. He has his sunglasses on, and he has silverware. He has silverware glued to his sports jacket. I mean, I'm not kidding, man. And I'm wringing wet. I'm wringing wet. And it's one of those moments where you're like, where are my friends? How come nobody can share this wonderful experience with me? And I looked at the guy, and I looked at him, and I said, hey, so who are you for Halloween? And I'm not kidding. He looked at me with utter disdain. And again, it's in Boys Town. And he goes, obviously you haven't seen the movie. And he turned and he ran out of the 7-Eleven. I mean, I think he was so
That's
insulted
awesome.
that someone hadn't seen the movie, and he just obviously haven't seen the movie, and he ran out of there. And I wanted to share that moment with a friend, but I was by myself.
Yeah, what are the chances of that actually happening?
Nobody
you know?
understands me. That's hilarious.
And here it is.
I know.
You are
It's,
powder. Yeah.
Well, at least
I know. I'm gonna take that with me forever.
he look you up and down, all sweaty, and like, who? What are you?
I know.
Well, I wanted to ask you, just Hollywood is like, it's full of like fake tough guys in the movies. Like these big superstars that probably are just I mean, I don't know for sure. I haven't done extensive work in the movies or
I know you're
anything,
not
but
talking about Brad Pitt.
No, you're pretty right. You're pretty right.
They seem like they're kind of Nancy's. You know what I mean? Like not real tough guys. So I want to ask you, like, who has been like the toughest guy that you've come across in your acting experiences?
Ice Cube.
Or who else is doing jiu-jitsu that that's that some of our listeners might know?
Well, I mean, there's a lot of guys, and it's funny. Every time I go and I do a film and there's some stunt work, ultimately the coordinator is somebody that I know. Maybe he's trained with me, or he's trained underneath somebody that's a dear friend of mine. So, the martial arts world is really, really small. And anytime you lie, you're going to get found out pretty quickly. But I'll tell you, the toughest guy in the industry that I've ever come across, and every time he's in town, he comes and he trains with us, is Guy Ritchie, the director.
Oh,
He's a brown belt, but this guy's legit. He's very legitimate. Got a very, very solid game, and he's really good. I've never trained with Joe Rogan, but I hear he's really, really solid. And you don't get a black belt from Jean-Jacques without being super, super solid. And I'll tell you, I've seen. I spent a lot of years in Taekwondo, and I've seen this Joe Rogan spinning back kick, and he folds a heavy bag. So I mean, he's. I would imagine, again, although I haven't trained with him, I would imagine he's really, really good. Guy Ritchie, really, really good. Ed O'Neill, from Married with Children, he's got a black belt from the Gracie Academy, and those guys don't give those things out. So, I would imagine he's really legit as well. So, but you're right. For the most part, there's a lot of, you're right. They're kind of Nancy's, at the end of the day, They're guys that can't even throw an effective haymaker, to be honest. But,
well, I mean, and then like a normal guy, well, not even normal guy, somebody who just watches fights a little bit, you can pick up on it when you're watching a movie, and you could tell. It's like watching a guy throw a baseball in a movie. And if you've played baseball, you could tell who could throw a ball and who can't. You could just tell by watching the movie, And a lot of these guys are like, you could tell, like, this guy's never thrown a baseball his whole life, or this guy's never. So it's just funny, like some of the things you see. These guys are supposed to be big tough guys, and you see them like in a fighting scene, and you're like, this guy can't fight.
Yeah, it's funny. It's I've had a number of conversations on movie sets with guys. It's funny to me because, again, I'm from Texas, and I don't want anybody to get the wrong idea of Texas, but I was on my first football team when I was 6 years old, and fights happened. I mean, my God, fights happened every weekend, But I've met some guys on movie sets that are in their 30s that have never been into a physical confrontation, and I'm blown away by that. I'm completely floored by that. I'm like, wow, you've either toughed your whole life, or you've lived in a city that I've never been to, man. Because it's just what are the odds of that?
I live in Boys Town.
Yeah, oddly enough, I do know a lot of people have never been in a fight before. I'm like, I don't know. I don't even know how that happens. Not even as a kid. Like, it's crazy.
Yeah. In fact, I think with jiu-jitsu, especially with kids, kids fight more than adults do. And it's like
it's just normal.
Yeah, the self-defense stuff is like, it's so important for kids because they're gonna need it.
Yeah, and you know what it does more than anything else. It's when people say martial arts, I don't want to train my kid to fight. man, learning how to fight stops fights. Because I'll tell you this, I'm never afraid of the guy that's banging his chest going, "You want a piece of me? You want a piece of me?"
Yeah.
The guy I'm afraid of is the guy that slowly puts his drink down, goes, "Hang on a second, honey, hold my watch," takes his watch off and goes, "All right, let's not get emotional about this. Let's go outside and settle it." That's the guy you want to be afraid of. And that guy knows something that you don't know.
Yeah.
You know?
Right.
And that's the way kids address it too. You know, on the football field, some guy yanks his helmet off and he starts cussing and throwing his everything around. The kid knows, look, I could double leg this guy, end up on his back, and choke him with relative ease. So he's completely calm. You know, he's not banging his chest or doing anything. He's like, look, come on, man. Okay, if you took that the wrong way, I apologize. We don't have to fight about it. Come on, let's go back to the huddle and get on with it. You know, it just makes things a lot easier. It gives you that confidence to not get intimidated and feel like you have to do something radical, scream and yell. And that's the guy that guys are always afraid of. You know, even at kids, when they do something like that, the big bully that's loud, he goes, yeah, okay, all right, yeah, cool. We'll just, yeah, all right, cool, man. You know, they back up because they realize this guy's not even wavering. He's not even afraid of you.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. I think you're right. So, hey, this is the part of the show where we do a rumors segment. You might have heard of those or not, but basically Ernest just does a little segment here. It's like a tabloid. Sometimes they're crazy and totally unfounded in truth. Sometimes there's a tiny bit of truth. Sometimes there's a lot of truth, and it's completely up to. We've had Crone Gracie on. We asked him about an incident where allegedly he threw a water bottle from the stands into a tournament and hit somebody in the head, and he just laughed hard and said, "I don't remember that happening."
Yeah.
So it's
we've had plenty of people. We've had plenty of people decline to answer.
So it's totally up to you, man. We asked Boz Rutan about beating up his co-host on a cooking show set, and he said
it never. His words. It never happened. You go to Google, and it happened. The network puts it out there.
So we're gonna jump in.
Yeah.
We'll jump in that segment right now.
Sure, man.
All right, let's ease you into this. All right, let's start off with we know how you got into jiu-jitsu. All right, let's talk about how you got into acting. What brought you into acting? What I've read is that you were followed a girl around, and that didn't work out, but the acting did.
You know, that's actually a true story. And it's, you know, I mean, every big thing I've ever done in my life is ultimately for chicks. I mean, at the end of the day, I'm not here to front. My moral compass hangs between my legs and sways with every step. And just like Elvis got me into it, I did it because, you know, Elvis gets a lot of chicks. So if he's doing this, I need to do it too. And I was going to the University of St. Thomas, and I saw this at the time, the most beautiful girl I'd ever seen, leaving a building every Monday. And I went to business administration, and I dropped an English class, and I said, I want to take the class that they teach in that brown building. And I didn't even care what it was. You know? It was, and it ended up being a theater class. But
oh wow,
yeah. That's exactly how I got into it.
So playing in it for the women, anything for the women. What about your your Playgirl issue? You were in the raunchy issue, right?
I was, and I'll tell you this: I've had, you know, just up front, you know, I do not expose the trouser worm. There is no Jimmy Johnson exposed at all.
Come on,
but I know, man. I'd love to tell you differently, but you know, it's just pictures and an interview for a movie that I had coming out. But oddly enough, I've met some fans before that have come up to me and they've said, "Oh my God, Sean, I saw that Playgirl, and I had no idea that you were so well hung." And I'm thinking, wait a minute.
Wait, what?
I'm like, wait a minute. Which one of these penises did you randomly associate with me? It was just so bizarre. But yeah, I was. It was. It's Playgirl, man. Yeah.
Nice, dude. That's a black belt and Playgirl issue. That you've accomplished right there, dude. You've accomplished more than most guys will ever hope to dream of.
That's my niche in the market, man. I'm the black belt that's also been in Playgirl.
That's awesome. And Boondock Saints. That's
exactly.
Elvis is like somewhere up there, and he's proud.
All right, so in looking you up and all these things that I found, one of the big things that I mean, dude, you're all over the place. You have like a cult following. I didn't even realize. I know from Boondock Saints, like, you know, you that's how I know you. But outside of that, and like I had to like dig to find out that this is the same guy that was in Powder. Like, what? But dude, you have your own website. You have your own website, and then there's like forums dedicated to you, dude. I didn't know that you were that deep, dude. So the biggest topic of discussion, like in all of these forums, was an alleged or suspected plastic surgery that you had somewhere between 2008 and 2009, and there's like serious details about like puffy, swelling around the eyes and things like that. And then there was a rumor about possibly it's reconstruction from a car accident, Mark Hamill style. There's all kinds of stuff.
You know, but it's funny. It's like people ask me that as well. I mean, there was a point when during Boondock 2 where I weighed about 182 pounds. Right now I'm about 158. You know, so you know, I mean, that changes your look. But I mean, obviously, you can't have plastic surgery and train jiu-jitsu every day. That's just an impossibility. It just doesn't work. You know what I mean? But you know, it's funny. I think that as far as actors go, there's always a point where people question that, and I'm not sure if. I mean, when I look at pictures of myself, I look exactly the same. So I mean, there's, you know, when I was 180, you know, my face looked a little puffy, and now it looks a lot more skinny. But that's kind of the way it goes, you know. I mean, it's just, it always blows my mind when people think that. It's like, really? I mean, with everything I do in my day-to-day life, it's like, you don't think my students would be like, whoa, where did you go for 6 months? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like,
it's got to be like. It's got to be weird to have so many people who are following like every little thing you do. You know what I mean? Like all your images. He looks this way. He looks that way. Now it's like that's got to be trippy, man.
I'll tell you what. There's one chick. We're hoping that it's a chick. She portrays herself as a chick. She goes under 2 different forums under the name Anonymous, and she knows a lot about you, dude. And she argues for you. Oh my God, she's shutting everybody down. Like, yeah, there's no way it can be. It's probably from the martial arts. He's really into martial. Dude, seriously, you might want to like get somebody who knows how to hack and like track down where her IP is and like make sure she doesn't live too close to you, dude. Because this chick, I mean, I'm serious. You can go under like two different sites. I was like, oh, this chick's like, oh, it's the same person. It's going under Anonymous. And it sounds like,
it's funny. It's like a lot of fans, you know, a lot of them, to be honest, I've become friends with. You know, they send me gifts at the academy, treats for my dog Donut and whatnot. But occasionally you get something odd. And there was a dude in San Diego that sent me. I'd say they were fan letters, but they were more like demands. Like literally, I would open this I'm not kidding. I would open this letter and it would say, Sean, this is, I'm going to say his name. This is such and such. By January the 3rd, I want you to have completed these 3 books. I want you to only listen to these 2 albums for the next 14 days. You can stop at 12 o'clock noon. After that, I want you to listen to these 3 albums. Yeah, I mean, it was just like really, really bizarre.
Wow.
You know, it's just, you know, you get some creepy stuff. It's like, you know, people overanalyze everything. They, you know, if you did a movie that had a certain line in it, then they think you wrote that and you meant that, you know. And you know, then again, if you do a different movie and you look different, people are like, oh, you look different. Whoa, you know.
It's like, I'm an actor.
It's kind of crazy. It's like that.
I'm an actor, dummy. That's what I'm supposed to do.
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
That's funny. So like, Boondock 2, right? Obviously, you had to do that. Everybody was pumped up about that. I was pumped up about a sequel coming to that, and I don't know how you feel about it, but as a super fan of that movie, it was nothing like what I expected. Did you read the script and see that coming, or did that happen in editing?
No, you know, I mean, you know, at the end of the day, you know, you trust your director and you go for it. I thought the script was lacking a couple of elements, mainly that brother camaraderie, that kind of, right. I'll do anything for my brother, I'll rip a toilet out of the ground. Didn't really have those moments, nor did it have like the horrific bad guy that you're truly afraid of, you know? And, I voiced those concerns, but, I'll be perfectly honest with you. It's not my it wasn't my ideal follow-up to what I'm really proud of, Boondock Saints 1, It's, I would have preferred it to be a little harder, a little more true to the first one myself.
Right.
Yeah. A little more jiu-jitsu.
Yeah.
Hey, man, thank you very much for coming on. It was a pleasure to speak with you tonight, man. We had a really good time.
No, anytime, man. I really appreciate it, man. Thanks for talking to me, man. And I enjoy you guys' show, man. And if you guys ever want to do it again, give me a shout, man.
For sure, man. Thank you very much.
Awesome, man.
Thanks a lot. It was a lot of fun.
You're very welcome.
Have a good
Take
one.
care, guys.
All right, good night.
Good night.
Dude, that guy's awesome. I like that guy.
It's pretty cool.
He's pretty straightforward, man. Like I liked his answers, and I like that he talks, dude. He elaborates on what his ideas, and they're thought out. It's not like, yeah, everything's good.
He's like a white Lloyd
I still
Irvin.
can't believe he's powder.
I cannot believe we talked.
When I saw that, my wife was like, "This is like I said earlier about me and my wife, our dynamic." I said, "Hey, did you know that this guy is the same guy from Powder?" She's like, "Oh," she's like, "Are you sure? What? You should look it up. You should look up that movie and look up the credits and see if it's the same person." I'm like, "Motherfucker, I just did. What have I been doing this whole time? I'm telling you this because it's a fact that I discovered." You know what? Just get away from me.
Yeah, you should look it up.
I don't know why I bother talking to you. Rodney, come here.
There's this thing called IMDb.
Yeah.
You can go online and put
Yeah.
people's names in.
I said I should just start. I'm just gonna pass everything through Rodney because Rodney's probably the only one. That's my 3-year-old guy.
And welcome back to the Inside BJJ podcast. We have on the line someone that I think we've read some of his forum posts from the Atama forum.
Did he ever say anything great about me?
I don't think so. He said
I don't remember.
he said the show needs less Hispanic guys. If you could get rid of the Hispanic.
That's probably why it doesn't ring a bell.
Yeah. Never heard of him.
Never heard of him.
You haven't heard of him, but you felt him. His name is Check Your Oil.
Oh, that guy.
That's what he goes by.
That guy. I do remember him.
So, hey, we have on the line Brent Littell, a.k.a. Check Your Oil, on the Atama Underground Forum. He is a black belt under Eddie Bravo in the 10th Planet system. So if you have any questions about rubber guad or anything like that, he's the guy to ask. So how you doing, Brent?
I'm doing well, thanks. And I did mention, Ernest, I said a little less brown, not Latino. Just wanted to put that out there. I'm doing all right otherwise.
Hey, man, thanks for coming on. I really, really love the part of the podcast where we get to interact with people who I've cherry picked their ideas off of a forum and then used them for this show, and then they hear it and then they respond something back, and then it's like that's actually a really fun part of the show to interact with everybody. So we're really glad that you could come on. The word on the street is that you got some pretty funny stories about jiu-jitsu, and I wanted to bring you on tonight just to tell one or two of those stories and just let people know how it goes down in Check Your Oil's world.
Yeah. Because of training in Hollywood, for some reason, we were a real magnet for the crazy people of the world, especially in West Hollywood. That is kind of a known place in the world where if you shake all of America, all the people fall and land right there in that 2-mile district where Legends was. So we had a guy, and some of you may have seen a video out there. We're going to call him Pat. I want to keep him somewhat anonymous, even though his face is all over the internet. And Pat was kind of an androgynous fellow. We didn't know how old he was. He was like tiny. When you looked at him, you were like, is this guy 14 or is he 44? Couldn't figure it out. And he was so weird when you spoke to him, you really couldn't get an answer. Well, Pat started training with us. Probably, he was early. He was in the Bomb Squad days. That was Eddie's original studio that he was out of. It was a kickboxing gym with this guy, Chris Riley. And so he came in, and I guess he had trained at John Jocks as well, unbeknownst to us. But he came in, he started training with us. It was really weird training with him because you would start rolling with him, and he would kind of go limp. I'm not talking about his nether regions. I'm just talking about in general. Like his mind was in a different place. I don't know. I felt, and me and the guys started talking about, like, he was getting a massage or something like that. Like, he was just enjoying it, like taking in all the man that was on him and stuff. And he was creepy, but he hadn't done anything creepy, so we couldn't just be like, "Hey, creep, get out of here," because that's kind of messed up, Just dudes into jiu-jitsu, maybe just, I don't know, his mind just doesn't work as fast, and he can't figure out how to do stuff, so he freezes. So one night, this weird little, that part too is like, look, he just had nothing going for him, so you kind of also felt bad for him. So one night, I was the guy who cleaned the mess. I was in graduate school at the time, and I couldn't really afford training, so I did the whole, hey, Eddie, can I mop the mats every night? Because I was there every night. And he let me train for free, so Eddie was really cool about it and allowed me to do that. So I was the last guy there. He was waiting out on Santa Monica Boulevard, and he was like, "Dude, can I get a ride home? I live down the street." And by the way, that's me translating his weird gnomish talk. He didn't really speak that coherently. So I was like, "Yeah, no problem." I was thinking, this dude's weird, but I'm big and I could beat him up if he gets crazy with me. So he gets in my car and we start driving. He starts telling me this story. He's like, "Hey, this black belt from, and I'm not going to insert the gym." And I was like, no, I don't really, I've heard of him. I don't really know him. And he's like, "Yeah, he put in my house, gave me some profits." And I was like, "Okay, that's cool." like, no big deal. He's like, "Yeah, man." And then he asked me to get naked. And I was like, at this point, I was like, kind of freaking out. I was like, "Oh God, like, is he hitting on me? I'm like the worst looking guy at the gym. Why me?" And he's like, "Yeah, man, I thought it was kind of weird, but I just kind of went along with it." And in the span of that 2 minutes, he just happened to live maybe like 3 blocks away. And we got, I was like, "Dude, like, this is the last time I'm giving you a ride home, bro. I was real uncomfortable," and let him go, right? And he went on his way, hobbled off. A couple weeks later, I'm talking to Einstein, one of the guys, about it. Same thing happening, and he told the same story. I guess this was like his way of kind of, feeling it, seeing it. Oh yeah, we're into this stuff.
Oh, I see. Yeah.
Like putting out the bat signal to see if we're like gay grapplers or something. So we're like, okay, whatever. He's weird. He hasn't become too weird yet. Well, we moved from the location where we were at the bomb squad to Legends. And this is important to the story because the locker room gets involved now. And Legends, we had just like a toilet, right? So if you had to change, you could go in there, you close the door and lock it. But because we had this full on like locker room area where everyone's changing in front of each other, hogs out and everything. So the dude starts coming more and more, training more because we've got this. One day he asked me to roll, and there's no one rolling or whatever. I'm like, fine, we roll, this little limp troll. And he does the knee through pass, the standard knee through pass.
Right.
And I wear a cup. So he's the knee fly. I wear a cup, and he hits my cup. And then he goes, "I didn't know your kick was so hard when you rolled." And I fucking flew up. I was like, "What the fuck?" And like started freaking out. And Eddie's like, "What's going on?" I was like, "Fucking guy." And then Eddie's like, whoa, I'm the gay shit. And the guy, he'd been warned before or something. So I was just like, dude, I'm never fucking rolling with you again. So now he doesn't get to go in my car, and he never gets to roll with me again. So that's fine. So time goes by, he knows not to roll anymore. And there's a couple other dudes, it happens. And a couple months later, he's rolling. Of course, to him, it's like, this guy's luck. He's ugly, androgynous, timeless, gay. And he's rolling, and the dude doesn't need through pass on him, and he doesn't work out, maybe for obvious reasons. And he starts losing it. He's like, oh my God, in pain, jumping up and down. He runs into the bathroom, can't even make it to the toilet. He pukes right in the fucking sink that's right there. And we're like, what the fuck? And actually, the staff hates him already. So they're like, you got to clean up that puke while he's on the floor, like moaning in pain. And we don't see him for like 3 or 4 weeks. He's gone. So we're just like, okay, that's the end of him. Cool. We didn't have that awkward goodbye. Well, he comes back and he's like, yeah, I lost my testicle. And we're like, what? He's like, yeah, when I threw up, it blew up my testicle, lost my testicle. And we're like, holy shit, man. Like, that's fucking crazy. So now we got pity for him. We're like, okay, we'll let him a little longer. Well, so Joe Rogan, he comes in regularly. He's a 10-planet guy. He got his black belt from Eddie and John Jock, actually. And he comes in all the time. and he's in the locker room, and he's one of those guys that's not afraid to get naked in front of other men. And what we start noticing after this guy's ball is lost, his libido gets going even more, like the other testicles running extra.
Overworking,
shit.
yeah.
Exactly.
Making up for a lost ball.
Yep. Yeah. So he starts creeping into the locker room every time Joe's getting naked. And I mean, it's like an ongoing joke, but for some reason at first Joe's kind of cool with it, like, whatever, if this guy wants to see my hog, whatever, like, no big deal. We're like, okay, man, like, that's on you. I'm kind of weirded out about some gnomish dude jerk me, but if you're cool with that, that's your kink, whatever. So so what'll happen is he'll go and change, the little gnomish guy we call Pat. He'll go and change. He'll wait out in the waiting room, and Joe goes back and goes into the locker room to change, and then he goes back into the locker room. No, he's already changed. There's no reason for him to go in the locker room. And then he thought he was sly, and he would use a mirror to bounce the look off of it, right? So every time Joe would change, be in the back at a mirror, like primping his hair, even though he didn't really have much, and just be smiling and looking at Joe's dick. I mean, it became like it was like clockwork. So we would make jokes about it, and finally Eddie's like, "Dude, we gotta fucking bust this guy on camera, right?" And we're like, "Yeah, that'd be kind of funny." So because it's like clockwork, the next day we decide to do it. Gnome runs in, and Joe's like just talking about him staring at the hog. Like, this guy, he's right there looking at Joe's dick. Joe is literally talking about him looking at his dick, and he doesn't make a run for it. Anything. He's just standing there, like, yeah, like doing that whole thing. And we post the video, and I guess Joe said, "Man, that thing got so many hits." We're like, who? There's a bunch of gay men started posting it up. So this guy's not only like hitting on all of us at the gym, but he's making like our gym famous on gay websites and stuff. It's insane. But with the culmination of the video, finally Eddie was like, "Dude, I think we gotta let this guy go." We're all like, "Yeah, man, like this is too much weird sexual shit. Like David's training with you, whatever, but like this dude's hitting on you, losing testicles, looking at dude's dick, telling them stories about other black belts, whatever. That starts crossing a crazy line." But we let him go, and like you think, okay, this is the end of the story, right? That's the climax. Climax is just easy with Joe's dick on camera. We bust him. Well, the after part is like 3 or 4 months later. We get a call from one of the guys over at Sean Williams' place. And they're like, "Dude, do you know this guy, Pat?" And we're like, yeah. Dude, he's kind of weird, man. He's starting to like hit on people. Was he doing that at your gym? And we're just like, oh my fucking God. Yeah, and we did a whole story. So we're like, okay, they kick him out. And then another 6 months go by, and I'm creeping on Facebook. I look for him, for whatever I look for, hot chick, hot on the street, whatever. And I see a picture of him in like another gym, and he's training in the background. It's like, so what I realize now is this guy just goes gym to gym. He's out there trolling for other gay guys to come hit on. So if you want to know what he looks like, legend of Pat, you've got to go and watch Joe's hog watching video. You just got to type in Joe Rogan hog watching. If he's at your gym, you know that you may be under attack.
Is this the dark-haired looking dude kind of standing in the background and like kind of looking around weird? Is that
Yeah. It only took you 2 seconds to notice how weird he was. Huh?
Yeah, there was like, you remember like when you watch like Sesame Street or something when you were a kid, and they'd be like, "One of these kids is doing his own thing," and it was like all the guys are like changing and being cool, and he's like standing in the corner, like kind of looking around, glancing around and stuff.
Wow.
Yeah, just he had on this planet. I think he's on some weird gay planet in his brain where he may be Matt Battle. You know Matt Battle?
Yeah.
Yeah. He may be just like the. We finally figured out the mystery of who Matt Battle is.
Dude, go ahead, sorry.
I'm just saying, for those of you who don't know who Matt Battle is, that's not safe for work. So do not look that up on your website.
Matt,
on your computer at home.
Yeah, Matt Battle is like, it's like the homoerotic Rickroll on the UG. Like, so, like somebody will send you a link and you open it and it's like his Rick Astley singing and it's like, "You got Rick rolled." It's a joke. Well, they do it with Matt Battle, but it's like gay wrestling guys, right? And they'll put a link to something like, check out this new Hickson technique that he just put out, and you click on it. It's like mattbattle.com or something like that. It's like,
I've seen that bastard.
yeah, dude.
What the hell?
Yeah.
And he takes pictures of like legit jiu-jitsu dudes too. He'll find like a post-training pic of like Nino Schembri with, his gi coming off. It's just a regular pic, but like when it goes on that site, suddenly it's like steamy and erotic.
Yeah.
And he'll write up he writes like an erotic story to it. So one last quick internet rickroll is on the mat, plural. Nobody knows that one, but
What is that again?
On the mat, not on the mat.com, but on the mat, plural, MATS. It is it's like a gay fetish wrestling site, and how I figured that one out is I was looking at gay fetish wrestling sites. So I was at UCLA, and in the library, like when you're a student there, you want to check your email real quick, whatever. I wanted to look up the results. I think of like the Clever's Pacifica, and so I typed in on the mat accidentally. And then suddenly all these dudes in like single dicks hanging out at the side show up on the screen. There's like 20 people lined up behind me. And they all start chuckling, right? And I'm like, okay, fuck, all four, like close. And suddenly it's just an obscene amount of pop-ups of just naked dudes fucking each other. And the entire line of people is laughing. And I just have to walk out with my head in shame. Like, no, I was looking at wrestling, I swear. So on that.com.
You want to hear something funny about that? As I've made some like funny, like accidental, like or whatever, tranny, like, hey Tim, you got to check this out. This is hilarious, dude. Just get on your computer and look at this really quick. He's like, no, it's disgusting, or like even regular like porn stuff. No, I'm not looking that up. I don't want that on my computer. But as soon as you mentioned that gay site, dude, he's Googled.
I pulled up Matt Battle. I thought it would be funny.
He Googled the shit out of it, dude.
It's because you guys have never seen it. Whatever. See, like
It's cool.
I'm trying to do something funny and cool, and what do you got to do? You got to turn it around on me. You know what, dude?
I'm just saying, dude.
See, you're talking to a real Jew on the phone and a fake Jew sitting next to you. And
Which is which?
We're going to release Judum Apocalypse on
Which
you,
is
dude.
which? I think we should go through a battery of questions
Tim,
to find out who is the real Jew.
You're just all bent because Pat got to see Joe's junk and you didn't.
Pat. I love that you use the name Pat, the androgynous character from Saturday Night Live.
I cannot take credit for that. Scott Epstein Einstein, another grappling dude, he came up with that name, and it was so appropriate
Yeah.
that we actually forgot his real name.
I think it's funny that you said he used a mirror. He's like all trying to be
awesome.
strategic about it, looking in the mirror and stuff.
Yeah, that's the funny part about that story to me is that he's just so like whacked out and obsessed with just cock. Like he just doesn't even realize that he's being that obvious, you know?
Trolling jujitsu. That's kind of like everybody's kind of nightmare is that some crazy gay troll comes into jujitsu, and they're like,
Well, he can't be the only one. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
there's got to be a bunch of. If it got a lot of hits with the gay community, that means there's a lot of gay dudes that are hooked into the grappling scene.
Dude, I can see jiu-jitsu blowing up in the gay community.
I can too.
they'll
I can see a lot of gays blowing up in the jiu-jitsu community.
they'll ruin this
I
sport.
heard a lot of hope in Matt's voice about that too, by the way.
Yeah,
I could
he was-
really see it taking off.
I could
no, this is a big thing.
I could really see this.
Just because I get on the ground with guys doesn't mean I'm gay.
So hey, I gotta say this, man. I'm really glad that you came on, Brent, because Brent he put a thread out on the Atama forum, and he's like, "Hey, I'm putting a petition out to to go on Inside BJJ," and I'm like, "What?" And he had a crap load of dudes sign it, and I'm like, "Wow, this is awesome! This dude's awesome, man." Because I'd already hijacked like 3 of your threads. I'm pretty sure. We've mentioned you a bunch of times, dude. We're like, okay, this guy said this guy said that. It's like it's always funny stuff. So,
Oh yeah, the one of me getting asked to leave a gym over wearing a cup, but not really.
yeah, that's ridiculous, man. But
That
yeah,
was a real strange one.
this one is great though. The guy lost a testicle. I mean that. Do you think he really lost it, or do you think he's just making it up and his weirdness?
probably made it up.
Maybe
That's
he.
the thing too. Did he just want us to talk about his dick? Like, did he
Oh,
really
yeah,
just
I
have
know what it.
telling a story about
wanted
his dick?
you
Like,
to-
he's like
he-
gets off on it.
He wanted
He
you
wanted
to
you to
ask
think
to see
about-
it. He wanted you to say, "Oh, what? You only got one ball? Let me see." That's what he wanted.
I would have fell for that one
Yeah.
too because I really do want to see it. I want to see it. I'm like, no, really? Come on.
Yeah. And
Whip
I'm the
that bad
weirdo.
boy out, dude. Whip that out. I want to see it.
Okay, all
Poor-
right. Knock
poor-
it off. Stop it.
Poor guy.
Stop.
Poor guy.
So hey, we had Sean Patrick Flanery on earlier in the show. And
SPF as he's known.
SPF 150, and he was talking about being in Santa Monica and like going because he was the dude that played Powder in the movie Powder, and he said he on Halloween night in Santa Monica he was at a 7-Eleven after class and dude was dressed up like Powder in front of him in line, and he just found it funny that this guy was dressed up as Powder for Halloween, and here he was the guy that played Powder, and so he asked the guy, who are you for Halloween? And he was like, he basically said Santa Monica's like Boys Town, and he said the guy turned around all indignant like, I'm Powder, haven't you seen the movie? Like he was all irritated
You would
by
know
it.
if you'd seen the movie.
So this is going to be like the gayest jiu-jitsu episode we've ever had.
Well, you also have two guys who have gyms in West Hollywood talking to you. So there's
Yeah.
also things that Sean Patrick Flanery's gym
Yeah.
is really in the heart of Boys Town.
Yeah.
We should call this one the family episode.
Yeah, let's not.
Yeah, this is gonna get you booted from what's it called, the app on Apple. I
iTunes.
guess this one's not suitable enough for public consumption.
How about this is the gay episode?
The gaydar.
I would be very proud for my inaugural episode to be a gay episode.
You know what? This will be the episode where all the hardcore jiu-jitsu guys that just are that jiu-jitsu serious business, they're going to complain about this.
Oh yeah.
We
dude, I
don't
didn't even
want to
think
hear
about that.
20 minutes of banter about this and
Talking
that.
about guys are gay.
They just keep
man.
talking and they're racially offensive. They say things are racist. Jiu-jitsu serious.
Do you think we're racist?
yeah,
man?
okay.
Come on. Do you think we're racist just as a listener?
I don't. Asking the wrong guy. I find racial humor to be hysterical, but then again, I'm a white guy, so we always think racial humor is hysterical and not racist.
I'm-
I gotta ask the people who are being offended, not the people being offended for other people, not the white guy offended for the black guy, but the actual black dude. Is that offensive?
Yeah.
Look, I'm
For me, it's all hysterical.
Well, Hanato laughed.
I'm Mexican, dude, and I'm probably throwing out most of the Mexican jokes. You know,
Yeah.
we have one guy that trains with us. We call him the cosigner. When you say the cosigner, hey, which Dave are you talking about? Cosigner Dave. Well, he's just a big, tall black dude.
Yeah.
I'll make jokes around him, and he'll like give the thumbs up, like that was good. I approve that.
Never hear a deep, big butt. Like a Tackleberry from Police Academy.
What's that? Say it again?
I think you should call him Tackleberry from Police
Oh,
Academy.
yeah,
You
remember
just walk
him?
around like, yeah, the tall, the big, tall black dude.
Yeah. Yeah.
The black dude on Trading Places. Remember they're in jail?
Oh, Eddie Murphy?
Oh, the
No.
chain. I heard you a chain belt and kung fu.
Yeah, this is a guy has only his only lines through the whole movie is
Oh.
yeah.
What about the dad from 227? No,
I remember that.
nobody. Remember him?
that guy?
Inside BJJ talking gays and blacks.
Yeah.
Fucking, God, what was that Lady Jack A show? Like,
Oh,
yeah.
Jack A.
That was 227. Yeah.
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 Yeah. Remember
Good
that?
references for all the young
There's
teachers
no
out
place
there.
like home.
That's right.
I thought hurricane season was over.
There's
Yeah.
no place like
So
home.
so let's see. We've hit Jews, gays, and blacks on one show. That's perfect.
What
I
else
think,
can we do?
and I made fun of people who die and have a car wash to raise money for the funeral. I think we've hit it. I think we're good.
Oh, that's
Oh,
a
Mexicans.
Stockton thing, I'm guessing.
In that one we hit.
No, every other weekend.
209.
Come on, you guys got him out there, right? Having a car wash at a gas station. some
Homicide
parking
car
lot.
wash.
So their homeboy that got shot.
Oh, it's a new Tyler Perry movie. It's called Homicide Car Wash,
That's good, dude.
and he's gonna play a fat old black lady.
Don't put that out there. Just don't actually do it.
They should. We just want a credit, dude. That's all we want.
It's gonna be Medea's Homicide Car Wash. She's got to raise car wash money
Homicide
for her
car wash.
nephew that got shot in a drive-by. Okay, man, I better stop.
One quick Stockton question for you guys.
Yeah.
There is a rap song out, and I'm real hip on the hip hop stuff. And it says "Pass those birds like Stockton," and I don't get the reference at all.
Say that again.
It's like "Pass those birds like Stockton." It says
What's the rap?
it's a I don't know who the rapper is.
I know what you're talking about. I think they're referring to Stockton, John Stockton, the basketball player.
Oh, okay. Fuck.
Yeah,
You know what?
I heard that too, and I was like,
has
nah.
his he brainwashed me into thinking everything's 209 now.
209.
Oh yeah. It is, but yeah, I think Ernest is right, which is weird because Ernest isn't a sporty guy into sports and stuff.
It's because I don't watch baseball. This guy
Thinks that it's just weird that you're interested in other things, but that's good.
I am.
I'm happy for you.
I'm happy for me too.
Good. I'm glad you're happy for yourself. I want you to be happy.
Take your mouth.
I'm glad.
Take your mouth off
Okay,
the
Ernest,
micro.
I'm glad.
Jesus. All right.
Hey, Brent, thanks for calling us, man. I apologize
Is that Little Wayne?
for our banter, but
It could be.
I don't know who it is. I'm
Lil
not
Wayne.
into the rap. I'm not a big fan of the rap.
You know?
Yeah, if you put the article in front of rap, you're not into it.
No.
The rap.
The rap is not.
I don't like that rap music.
I'm not a big fan of the hip hop either. It just doesn't do much.
Except for Jay-Z.
It's
He's
like-
a really good friend of the Jews.
How many songs do you need to have about how much money you make? How you
A
have
lot.
you have better rhymes than every other rapper.
That's because Tim knows he makes more money than everybody.
Listen,
You
I
shot
once-
a lot of guys.
I once had somebody say, like porn's cool, but how many times can you really watch some other people screw? I looked at him like, is that a real question? I don't think there's an amount. You can, come on. So if you ask a rapper that question, you're like, dude, that's all we do, baby. That's all
Wow.
we do. Rapping about gold, hoes, rims, and busting caps.
Dude, you did it with like a lisp.
Yeah, there's all kinds of hood talks.
you're like the gay black
That's
rapper.
that's kind of the pimp one.
There
There is
yeah.
a gay black rapper out
Yeah.
there.
He's the homo thug. It's the homo thug.
Yeah,
He was on Howard
God,
Stern.
Eddie used to listen to him. He used to rock him out. He was like a black rapper that would just talk about like sucking dick and stuff.
Yeah, he was. I think he was
God,
on Don and Mike
Dude, I
show.
gotta- Huh?
He was on the Don and Mike show when they were out, and I think he did Stern once. He called it. He was like,
Oh, okay.
I forget his name, but he said he was like his sub name was the homo thug.
That's gross.
That's pretty sweet. That's pretty badass. Literally.
That's pretty scary.
Yeah.
That is pretty scary.
That's way more intimidating to me than anything
Yeah.
else. Is a homo thug.
Yeah.
Hell yeah. He have a pink grill. It's pretty sweet.
Sweet. Awesome.
We gonna do some things.
All right. Hey, Brent, thank you very much, man. We will we'll catch up with you in a few weeks, man. So
All right, great,
All right.
fantastic. Thanks for having me on the show.
all right,
Keep it
buddy. Take it
saucy.
easy, man.
Late.
Bye.
Data got out into the
Conversation.
real world.
Oh, you just did the imaginary push up of the glasses. Is that how you hear me?
I need to add more tape to my glasses. They keep slipping down my large nose.
Oh, we can't change that, guys. Golly gee.
Yeah.
And you guys,
You guys are jerks, dude. Do it again. Thanks for listening. Talk to you later.